Hello, everybody, and welcome to the CloudAccess.net free weekly webinar. This week, we are going to be doing GitHub in my Getting Started series. Now, what I'm going to be showing you here today is the basic setup for GitHub and integrating it into our CCP, which is our Cloud Control Panel. If you aren't aware, currently only our business support plan gets free GitHub integration. However, you can still use GitHub without it being integrated in our CCP. It's a little nicer to have it all in one place. So before we get into that, I just wanted to go over a couple things here for you. And I will be your host, Danielle Hardy, and I am the support team lead here at CloudAccess.net. And if you have any questions at all, there is a Q&A section at the bottom of this Zoom video conference call, or you can also post it in the chat. Either way is perfectly fine. If you do have a question, I will read it aloud and answer it so everybody can hear. So some of the basics on GitHub here is that there's a couple different versions you can get. You can get the free or the paid version. And the paid version is $7 a month, and this is through GitHub. But it's got unlimited collaborators and it has advanced tools for the paid. And there's also a student version. However, if you want to sign up for that, you have to go through GitHub and contact them to have them do so for you. That one is a little bit better than the free version, I believe. I think it's on par with paid from what I've seen. Now, for those of you who don't know, GitHub is a service to basically store your website's source code. It doesn't have to be just a website. It can store all different sorts of source code. But that is what we use it for here, as we are a website hosting company. Collaborators, I know that some of you are not from the US, so just to make sure you know a little bit of what we're talking about. Collaborators are people who work on projects with you. A repository is essentially a storage location for software. And commit is like a snapshot or a backup of your source code that you have with GitHub. Okay, now I'm going to show you the setup. All right, so when you need to set up your first GitHub account, you just go to github.com and it will require you to create a username and an email and your password. So we are just going to do something basic here. And this only takes a quick moment. One thing that I really enjoy about GitHub is how quickly you are able to get started with it. So once I've done that, I just need to verify a CAPTCHA puzzle that I'm not a robot. And there you go. You get to choose between the free and the pro versions. And down here, it goes over a little bit of information about the student version if you wanted to get that. But for this, we're just going to simply click the free version. And here it actually lets you receive updates from GitHub News, offers, and events that they have going on. And if you are doing this for an organization, it will actually walk you through the setup of that as well. So we are not going to click either of those for this tutorial. Another thing that I like about setting up things with GitHub is it gives you a little survey about how your experience is, and they will send you offers and promotions based on that data. For this tutorial, we're just going to skip over that though. And you need to verify your email address, so that will be done later. If you are signing up for this though, you want to do it right away. Okay, So from here, this is your home screen when you first log in. It actually lets you learn Git and GitHub. It gets slightly different. And it will guide you through the complete setup, and they have a knowledge base that it is very helpful and it's very vast. But for this, we are going to go over here, and anytime that you want to create a new repository, you just click this addition sign and click new repository. Or if you have one that you'd like to import from another provider, you can do that right here as well. So for the sake of this, we are just going to do Cloud Access webinar. Very simple description. This is for use of a webinar. And if you are going to be integrating this with the CCP, it's much simpler to click on public if you want anyone to be able to see your repository. If you don't want anybody to be able to see it, you can choose private, and we do have the settings to help you out with that as well. So I'm going to select public. And then initialize this repository with a README. I would suggest doing that. As this states, this lets you immediately clone the repository to your computer. So it basically takes it back and adds it to your computer. If you're importing an existing repository, you don't need to do this though. You can add a license, and you can add a .git ignore as well. So click create repository. And just like that, it's created. I don't have any code added or anything to this as of now because it's a very simple repository. However, you can create a new file if you'd like, or you can upload files. You can clone one, or download one. And if you use Joomla or WordPress, you can also get some of that data from their website and just upload it right there. I'm not going to go over all of this area as it's sort of intuitive, and GitHub has a lot of information in their knowledge base to easily walk you through that. Now we have a question. I'm going to take a look at that real fast. So from one of our attendees, what is the best way to work with GitHub via a Chromebook? That is an excellent question. Let's see here. That I'm not aware of, but if you are able to send an email to me at webinars@cloudaccess.net, I can do a little bit of digging and get back to you on that. So apologies that I don't have that one off the top of my head. I don't currently use a Chromebook, so. Okay, so the next step is going to be integrating it with CloudAccess.net. And just as GitHub does, we have tutorials on this as well. Our tutorial is on the integration. It gives you a little bit of data about GitHub. And just so you know the difference between GitHub versus Git, Git is a revision control system. It means it's a tool for source code history management. So any changes that you make in your source code, it keeps a copy, and you can go back to the changes that you made before. Very helpful. And this tutorial actually walks you through everything step by step, so I'm just going to use that to guide us in this process. So the first step is to log into your cloud control panel, i.e. the CCP. And I'm going to bring over my account that I already have logged in here so you can see it as well. For the sake of this, we're going to go ahead and use my Joomla website. So you click Manage and Application. And then you scroll all the way down here and you have GitHub integration. And just so you are aware, in future webinars, we will be going over some of this other integrations and toolkits as well. So here it asks for your repository URL. And just to let you know, we do have a little warning in the CCP. It's just so you are aware that doing things like this can cause issues with your websites if it's not done properly. But our interface walks you through it quite easily, so you should be okay there. The warning does say, though, that GitHub integration or updating the GitHub URL will erase your current site and clone the repository on it. So whatever you have on your repository, it will put there. Now, just for the sake of this, I'm going to see if it'll go ahead and let me put anything clear in here to show you guys what it will do if you don't have any source code in your repository. And it has a little pop-up there again too, letting you know that it will erase your current site and replace it. Okay, so as you can see there, it doesn't immediately tell you that there's any changes on your site or what the differences are. So it is on you to kind of notice what all is going on in your GitHub before you integrate it with the Cloud Control Panel and allow it to erase your website. But as always, we do create backups and keep them daily of your website too. So if anything goes astray here while you're setting this up, you can just contact us and we will restore backup for you. For our standard and business plans, it's free and included in your price. And for our free and mini plans, it's $30 per restoration or $20 a month to upgrade to at least a standard version. So it's a little cheaper if you do it that way. The next step, we're gonna go back over here because it's nice and intuitive and there's less text here, so you don't get a little overstimulated. And we also, if you've never set up a GitHub repository, we also have a little tutorial here that links right to the GitHub knowledge base. And it will walk you through how to do the repository setup that we just did. It also goes over using the commit. So committing your first change. And it talks about a few other things as well. Again, very helpful. So it mentions here about the difference between the public and the private, as I said before. If you created a public repository, all you have to do is paste the URL that's in your browser right in the box here and click enable like we just did. And then this next section right under that is going over how to do it if it's private. It mentions again that your repository will be cloned onto the site because we want to make it very clear that this is what's going to happen, and we want to make sure that you're prepared for that as best possible. The private key for your repository, if you have it private, it resides on our platform and it's never publicly exposed. So you don't have to worry about anybody taking that data or anything of that. Okay, next up is enabling automated deployment. So to enable automated deployment, you have to follow the steps here. And there's a lot there. So the first one is visiting your GitHub repository settings page. And I think we have time to go over that. So I'm going to do that with you guys too. Okay, so right over here on the right is where the settings are. And then just to ensure that we're doing it step by step correctly, as it mentions, I'm going to click back and forth between these two tabs so we can follow it nice and slowly. Once you reach the settings page, there's a section called webhooks, and you want to click Add Webhook button. So right over here on the left. And add webhook. Okay, and go back over here. And it says set the payload URL to the one displayed on your GitHub integration page in the CCP. So you go back to the CCP. And also it tells you how to do all these steps again right down here. And as this little tutorial shows you, this is where the payload URL is. So we're going to copy that over. And we're going to put that right in here. And select the event, just push the event. So if you look over here, it says which events would you like to trigger this webhook? So if you push the event, it'll just push this one thing through. Next, it is check the active box and click Add Webhook. So we're going to make sure that that is clicked active. And add webhook. Not going to save that. Now, webhooks allow external services to be notified when certain events happen. Personally, for our company, this is something that we use with all sorts of things, including our live chat feature that we have. Webhooks are very helpful, and I would suggest using them whenever you need to, or whenever you have the possibility to. So when specified events happen, they'll send a post request to each of the URLs you provided, and it'll kind of create a gateway. So over here, you've now successfully set up automatic deployment. So whenever you make changes and things like that in your GitHub repository, that creates an event, and that event is going to be pushed over to your website. This is especially useful when you're somebody that does a lot of coding and changes within the CSS. Whenever those changes are done, it just automatically pushes it to your website and you're good to go. Again, this is where our backups that we keep come greatly in handy. And essentially, that's really all there is to integrating GitHub with your Cloud Control Panel. As you can see, and as I mentioned, there are many, many things to do in GitHub. Let me see if there's just a couple quick things I can go over with you again. Got collaborators. Yeah, this is great. Okay, so if you want somebody to be working on your repository with you, that's entirely up to you. But if you would like them to do that, you can search by their GitHub username, their full name, or the best way, their email address. Just right under settings and collaborators and right here in the center. That will give them instant access to it. You have a section for your notifications as well. You can choose multiple email addresses to get your notifications sent to. That is the main part of this area. And it looks like they've made some changes with their integrations and services, so there's not much to look at in that section. Under options, you can change the name of your repository at any time. Granted, if you do that, you will need to go through and update your GitHub integration with the CCP as well. You have all kinds of different settings that you can change for your repository, and you will need to do that for each one if you do make those changes. We have an excellent question from a Gary. Thank you, Gary, for writing in. When a plugin is updated, should that warrant a GitHub update? So that would be just a plugin on your website. If you are updating it from within your administrator section on the back end of your website, that should not warrant a GitHub update. Basically, if you do anything on your repository side, that's going to push the notification through. However, it does go back and forth. So if you update the plugin on your website side, it should copy that over to your GitHub integration as well. I hope that answered your question. Okay, and it looks like that's all the information that I have, as this was more of a basic tutorial on it. I'm going to give you all just a couple minutes here, and if any of you have any questions, please just post them below and I will be waiting here. Okay, it looks like we have another excellent question from an anonymous attendee. They are asking, is there an easy way to convert a Joomla site to a static site? I can see how this would be connected to GitHub. However, for the most part, it's not really a GitHub question. But aside from that, I don't know if there's an easy way to convert a Joomla site to a static site. I haven't heard of that being done easily. There might be plugins out there. I know that we offer a plugin to convert a Joomla site to a WordPress site and back and forth. But at this point, we don't have one for a static site back and forth to a Joomla site. That is something that our developers may be able to do for you for a fee. I don't know if you're going to be easily able to do that at all, though. It's kind of a tricky task, especially seeing how plugins and stuff like that created with Joomla sites are their own separate entity. It makes it a little trickier because static sites are only a few files. I would definitely just try and do some research on that on the web. And I hope you find your answers. All right, do we have any more questions for today? Going once, twice? All right. Well, I would like to thank everybody for coming here today. It was great. I love doing these tutorials with you all. You're most welcome, Gary. So thank you for joining us. If you have any questions, comments, or any suggestions for upcoming webinars that you would like to see, please send them to webinars@CloudAccess.net, and I will get back with you right away on that. We will be posting this on YouTube for you to see again if you missed any parts in just a couple of days. If you subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is just Cloud Access, and click the little bell on the top right for notifications, it will notify you as soon as we uploaded the video. You can see our hashtags for our other social media here. And we unfortunately will not be having a webinar next week, as I will be in Salt Lake City for the SNAP conference, but we will have one the week after. And there is a post survey here. It's really quick, and I'd really appreciate some feedback from you all. Thank you very much, and I hope you have a lovely day. Bye for now. Mason, if you're still here, I just saw your chat, and you said, is there a way to clone all of the WordPress theme files into a GitHub repository to allow editing from GitHub? As long as you have access to that source code and you can get them, you can put them right into your repository and do it that way. You are most welcome. I hope you all have a great week. Thank you again for joining me. It was a delight as always. And bye for now.